Hey everyone, welcome to special Plant Bar Live. Let me get set up here where we're going. All right. Do a couple checks on the sound. We are. All right, it's working. Usually in on Tuesdays. Apologize for anybody watching back. We just could not make it yesterday, but wanted to make sure we made it up. So a free Wednesday live for everyone here. It's going to be me moderating. I'm David with the Plant Bar, and I'm excited to do a couple plant chores with you guys. Got some portulaca that needs to be separated. It's getting a little stringy, and then I've got some other plants to check in on. Some of the propagations we have done needing to be potted up, and so just going to be doing those sorts of plant chores, getting things ready for some events that we have coming up in the near future, and then also I can check back in on some old projects, kind of reminisce a little bit. We've done several over the last few months that we kept. We can check back in and see how things were going. So. All right, so if you're just watching, you're new to our channel, you're seeing us for the first time, feel free to subscribe to Plant Bar, like the video, and follow along. We do all kinds of plant tips, and also do propagations and different types of plant practice. Probably not a word, but this is live, so there's no movie magic, no nothing. It's just me with you guys. So checking back in on this one here. This is a Christmas tree that we had started full of succulents. Checking in, and as you can see, the succulents, a lot of them have attached, so we're good there. We did have a couple losses, and one's loose on the bottom here. So we didn't quite finish this. If you've ever done a succulent Christmas tree, just know it's not like a beginner type thing. But as you get these plants to get in there and start rooting, you can then start cleaning out some of this older dead stuff. And hey, if you're just joining in, feel free to comment, say hello. I'll be watching over. I'll do my best. Just know if I get on one way or another, sometimes I'm not so good at doing two things at once. And if it's hard, then I can't talk because I'm focusing on the plants. But right now, this is a Christmas tree we did a couple weeks ago, and some of these have rooted. Looks like we did lose. This is sempervivum that we had placed in here. Smaller sempervivums, hens and chicks. And it looks like, because there's one here. So there's other hens and chicks that did okay. It's like one species that we tried to use that didn't work. So let me try to identify. It's not all sunshine and rainbows sometimes, and so we're learning process. So the ones, it looks like the ones that didn't do as hot, there's a couple things here. When we built this, we wet the moss, and then we didn't wring it all the way out, so it was fairly wet for a long period of time. And I think the hens and chicks with the broader base did not like it. So these few that were that look like they got too much water. There's 3. They all did not like the wet sphagnum moss. So I'm going to pull them out, and I'm going to replace them with something else. So if you watched this before, we built this and then built it out of sphagnum moss in the middle and some peat moss. So it was, fairly wet to begin with, and then we hot glued or stuck and clipped all these succulents in here. But I lost 3. Everything else is good, solid, like stuck on and starting to root, minus this one on the bottom. 2, it's just loose. We use these. We use this floral ties to keep everything in. So I'll just tuck that one back in, and I'm gonna set this aside. So I've got some projects to do there, and let me get into another project that I have, and it might not look like much here. I've got, this is Portulacaria, and you can see it's a flowering one. This is a succulent, but as it gets aged, the leaves start to diminish and it kind of got stringy. And so what I want to do is I'm going to revive this guy. I'm going to cut everything off the top, and then going to place it in new planters, and then let this revive, and we'll come back to it in a month or so, and it should be good. And then these are pretty easily to propagate in on their own, similar to like a strings of things as far as propagation. I'm just going to be stringing this into planters, and then it'll root again. Fairly easy. So getting into it, if you've got a plant that looks like this, you can actually, I don't know if you can see, there's some old cuts here that were made a while ago. So I'm just going to, and you can see there's some see all the new growth coming in, because this stuff started getting lengthy. This thing's like full of roots, so it's not holding as much water as before, and not as happy. So just gonna cut. I'm gonna leave these new guys here, these ones, because this is gonna be all new and it'll grow back out. And everything else I'm gonna cut back. So if you got something that looks like this, don't be afraid to just start snipping away at the old growth and encourage some new growth. If you're living in a colder area, this would have to be done inside, and only once you do the cuttings, you're going to have to use some sort of light to encourage these things to grow. But if you got a temperate climate, it's not getting too cold outside, you can do this all year long, which is what we have here. So I'm just going to cut this guy back. You can see there is actually just one central, as I cut this, you'll be able to see one central plant. This was. We did have some dead limbs and things. I'm just throwing all that out. And here's the new growth here. Last little bit here. All right, so as you can see now, I only have this tiny little bit here. I'm inspecting this plant. I'm going to take it out of this pot. Let's see what the roots look like. There is some webbing here. I'm just going to try to look closer and see if it's got like spider mites or something. If so, I'm going to treat it. Spider mites on succulents, you don't want to use anything crazy. You want it to be something that's like Could be soap derivative, something like that. That's not as harsh, but that will get rid of the spider mites. All right, so I got pulling this guy out, and it is full of roots. So, you know, it doesn't need a lot of water to begin with, but it's a hanging basket, so it's going to dry out quickly, which means that there's probably been, you know, it's in the full sun, and it's just lots of times where it just doesn't have enough water when it needs it, and so it starts shriveling up and just not growing as good. And we've had this for a while. So let's see here. Trying to look into this webbing. So I'm going to spray with soapy water just to be sure after I'm all done here. But this entire root ball is just, it's all fibrous roots. Oh, and this is one of those. So if you have, luckily it's not like encased around here, but this is a grower pot, and they kept that in there to try to hold everything intact. And you can see all the roots there. So I'm going to clean all this off, just give it something new to grow in. Yeah, thanks for saying hello. Run it up. Like the name. Thanks for joining me, hanging out with me a little bit, just playing with plants. If you haven't watched before, today's just going to kind of be a chore day, but we usually do arrangements and these other things. Right now I'm just going to try to give this guy some new soil. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to keep, and it'd be better if you ever do this on your own, to moisten the plant before you start taking out the soil from the roots, so that you don't take away as many roots. Because really we want to keep the roots intact, but get new soil for the plant to root in. So I'll leave it about like that. Venus flytraps, yeah, thank you, Turdo. Thanks for your comment. We do propagate Venus flytraps this time of year. They start to go dormant. So if you don't know already, and I can show you guys one while I'm doing this. If you don't have a colder climate, you've got to store them in the fridge. They got to spend a few months, like 3 or 4 months, in the fridge to go for overwinter to come back. They go dormant, so they'll usually die back. Oh, where's the brush? And let me grab one. So we're in Hawaii and on Oahu, and so we don't have. It's obviously not cold here, so we have to force things to do that. And then, you know, I'm probably behind with one of them that I have because I haven't forced it to go dormant and hasn't like fully went. But Venus flytraps are a cool intermediate plant. I got one in this. I was going to actually check in on it with you guys anyways, so you guys can see. So we built this bog. We showed it on one of the lives. So if you're watching, you want to see how we built it, just search through our lives, and you'll see the blog or the live where we built this bog. So they need to be in something that's always wet. You can see there, that's our Venus flytrap right there that we put in here. And you can really see if I can get, all right, so you can see the black. So this is very normal for this plant, and it just continues to get smaller and smaller. So generally come winter time, like I should have probably already did it, but I didn't, I would take this out, put it wrap it around in paper towel on the root ball, keep it wet, and then put it in the fridge. If you're in a colder climate and this is outside, it's going to automatically just do that. They go dormant. I guess if you're in America right now or in the northern hemisphere, then yeah, dormancy's now. A lot of the carnivorous plants do. This is a pinguicula, and we planted these really small. They had a whole bunch of babies, and this one's growing pretty good, and it does flower. You can see if you see this when you put it in, you can see the growth. And then the way the ping plants work is they have a sticky top and they catch like gnats in different plants. And so this one has a few. You can see one there. There's one there. And the way we built this reservoir, this bog, is we inserted a PVC pipe. We hit it and it goes down to the bottom so that when we water, we only water into here and then we fill it up. Yeah, so going back, so the carnivorous, so a lot of carnivorous plants do go dormant. And so if you don't live in a climate where it gets cold enough, then you need to force the cold dormancy to allow it to come back. Otherwise, if you've had them and it's not super cold, like below 40 outside for a long period of time, then you're going to get like one season, maybe two, and then they kind of peter out. So that's the way that you keep them growing. So I love carnivorous plants too. We'll do another one, but right now a lot of the plants, minus the pinguiculas, they're all you'd usually plant seed in fall, or you're getting ready for next year. Put this back here. And then another thing with the carnivorous plants, most of them really enjoy, I say most, not all, they really like to be in full sun. So you got to have a nice sunny spot for them. All right, so let me get back to what I was doing. I'm going to pot up a bunch of this Portulacaria so we can have new flowering plants for, it'll take a couple months here. So I'm going to put this one back in the main one here, this regular old pot that we had. Soil for this plant is going to be, which I have some mixed from our last live already. I'm going to reuse what I have here and then make some more. But it's 50-50, so it's sand and potting mix, perlite, activated charcoal, worm castings. But it's 50% sand, coarse sand, and then 50% of a potting mix, an organic potting mix. And ideally not one that has like added fertilizers. You don't need all that. And what I did is, I already got this down to this, so there's a lot of soil that'll be around there. So when we go to rewater this and this regrows, there'll be a lot of dirt around the roots, and then I won't have to water as often. Okay, so I'm going to use this for now, and then I'll mix some more. All right. So you can have a regular pot. I pulled most of the. I have this. Yeah. Most of the old hydrophobic soil. So a lot of that soil, if you're watching it, it's like super dry because the original growers. It wasn't me, but the original growers that I got this from used just peat moss, a heavy peat moss blend. And so it keeps the soil moist around the roots, but then when it dries out, it just becomes this hard brick, and that's what we're left with right now. So I'm going to fill this up, and I know, we basically want to leave two finger lengths from the rim of the pot to the top here. So I just need a little bit more soil in there. Here and here. Shake that around. All right, that should That should work. So you got the right space, and then from there, just gonna fill the sides and spin it. Easiest way to do it. Use the rest of this mix here. So once you fill the sides, you're gonna pinch all the sides. Always go around, keep it symmetrical so you can keep your plant in the middle. Sometimes if you put too much here and then you pinch, then now your plant's not in the middle anymore. So now this guy's in a new, good, solid mix. I do need to treat it, so I can do that now. All right, let me grab the. So it's got, I don't know if you can really see, but this plant had some spider mites, some other things. So you could just blast it off with water. You can use like a soapy mix. For time's sake, maybe I'm going to make all this and then I'll let me go look real quick. All right, I have a little bit here. So I'm going to spray this on it. Just till it runs off. And then from there, right, I'm going to water till the water comes out the bottom. And then I'm going to let it sit. And then now that I've got this new soil in there, if this is indoors, you want to water it. So when for this, it's got roots and stuff. So you want to water it, let it dry out and then water it again. So if you're inside, you're going to try to watch the plant and see how it reacts, but it's going to be once every, I don't know, maybe a week, but more than likely every 2 weeks or so, maybe a little more. If you're outside, then it's about once a week with this new soil that you need to water it. With the old soil, before I changed it, this thing was needing water all the time because it just went straight through it. The plant wasn't taking up any of it. That's why we had what we had. I was super unhappy, got some bugs, and so I'll try again. All right, so I'm gonna set this aside, and now I've got all this extra, cuttings. It's like, what do we do with this stuff? And so I'm going to show you. Succulents root pretty easily. We are going to use some 6-inch pots, so similar to this size. Let me grab those because they're not in front of me. And if you're getting into plants and you're trying to have fun with them, or you're trying to grow some to sell more because you've got so many and you need to maintain them, and then that can be a way to subsidize your hobby. Don't ever throw away any of unless they're like cracked and broken, and even then I just reuse them for something else. But don't throw any of your nursery pots away. That'd be my recommendation if you're planning on making a lot of plants, because you never have enough pots. Like, you never have enough. So keep them. I keep all mine. All ours are in nice, clean, clear bins so that we can keep them clean and not make a mess. I guess obviously if you're at home or whatever, you don't want like nasty stacks of these pots everywhere. So what I'm going to do is we're going to fill these up with another soil mix. It's going to be a little less sand for these ones because we're trying to get the rootings to cut into the mix, but we're going to like really stack in the plant, like overstack the plant so we can get a good amount of new plants. All right, so I got 6-inch pots, regular soil here, potting. So this is our regular potting mix that we already have, and our regular potting mix has perlite and peat moss, compost, activated charcoal, and mycorrhizae in it. So we already have all that in there. So I have this. I'm going to mix it on the table for you guys. We're going to do about a 60-40. So more soil. Oh, now we got lots. Then sand. All right. Get the sand. The sand we generally use is just a coarse sand. You know, big bagged coarse sand is what we use. So I want this to have a little more holding power, just to keep it a little more wet around these plants while they root. So 60 potting soil, 40% sand. So I'll just mix in. Here, and then I'll blend this up and check how it looks, and then see if I need to add more or not. So as you're watching, anybody have any favorite plants or a wish plant that they don't have? I like all Hoyas, but the thing with the thing I don't enjoy about the Hoyas is that they're so slow growing that it just takes a while. I prefer bang for my buck. All right, so this is actually more than enough sand for what I'm trying to do. Probably could have got away with just 2 cups. But I'll just, let me mix it a little better and see how we look here. All right, that should work. All right, so for this, when we're propagating these, you're gonna fill till the bottom here, the ridge on the pot. And then we're gonna take our plant, and so sometimes you can let this dry out. This is a pretty dry mix, so if we don't water it right away, it'll be all right. You can let this callus over 1 day or so. What we want to do is we're gonna pop this in, and then I'm going to just loop this around like that, trying to get this to catch inside here. And then I'm going to take another one, go from the other side, pop that in. And to really make real big, pretty plants that'll be full, we want to try to get more than a few rooting here. So you just want to fill this up. So I'm basically trying to fill up this little half. So I got one over here, one over here. I'm going to do one more larger piece. On this side, sticking it in and then wrapping it around. So from there, now we've got a good amount of plant, and then we're going to take a little more and just kind of sprinkle on the top. And then water it once and then let it sit. And this you're going to water about once a week and try to get this guy to root in there. And so the ones that are in the soil should root pretty rapidly. Like I said, I'm not going to water this right away because so if you don't let it callus over, don't water it right away. You can make the cuttings, throw it in there, leave it in this dry mix 1 day, 2 days, then water. All right, so I'm gonna make another one. So you could get away with doing a whole bunch of like singular little cuttings. You know, you could cut this up into a million pieces, but I prefer to make nice big plants right from the start. And then that way, for this especially, these plants will be full of flowers and it'll be really, really pretty, eye-catching. We'll plug that in. Turn it around. All right, so you can tell when I start concentrating, because usually it's me and Crystal, and when I'm not needing to talk, she can fill in the gaps. So I'll do my best to continue to talk while I'm concentrating. What I'm trying to do is get this thing to kind of turn, and obviously they weren't growing in a circular way. Now I'm excuse me, putting them in here that way. All right, let me get another one right here. All right, this is a big one. I'll take this one. I haven't done anything on this side yet, so shove that in there. I'll try to get this on the inside if I can. And that way this is fairly full. All right, then scoop extra mix over the top. And so generally what will happen is these bottom pieces will root in, and this is going to start to grow outward. I do have a string of bananas. I think we did some propagations with those, like, it was a while ago, maybe three months ago. The way I did it though is I don't know if you remember when we had one pot and I let it fill into another pot. So I'll bring that one over, because that one actually, I've now cut them and separated them. You can check back in on them, kind of show you what these plants will do over a couple of months. All right, so I've got 3 so far. So I got 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th plant from just that one plant that was not looking so hot, but I've run out of bigger cuttings. So let me actually pull through here and get, because I want to kind of pull them through like that. Well, this one already built for the corner. All right, so do that. And then put this one in here. So I want to fill them up. I want to make it nice and full. All right, pull it through here. If you're just joining me, I'm David with the Plant Bar, and you're in the middle of me. We already cut it up. We separated out a Portulacaria, which is like a succulent that has these flowers, but it was kind of spent, and it had some mealybugs on it. Not mealybugs, sorry, spider mites. And so I treated the main plant and then pulled the rest apart, and we're just finishing up filling these in. We do want to keep them, so rather than just doing little sprigs, I try to make the pot nice and full, and with the succulents, especially the hanging basket types. And then that way when they do fill in, they're nice and full, ready for display right away. You're not waiting for a long time, and makes a huge difference. And I'll show you in a minute. If you just stick around for a couple minutes, let me finish up what I'm doing here. I'll drag. I have some string of turtles that we did the same thing to, and you can kind of see. And it wasn't that long ago, so how quickly. I guess it's going to be one more. So it looks like I'm going to have enough for 4. That many. Get one more. All right. This will be the last one. I don't know if I have enough, but we're going to try to skimp all this together. And then if I need to just make a little bit more, I will. And what time have we got? All right. Doing okay on time. So this is anytime you want to, divide your strings of things, or if you have Portulacaria like this, any type of succulent plant that grows. This has a giant hole in it. You can see how much sand is left. All the sand kind of went to the bottom here. All right, we're gonna have to deal with that. All right, so I'm gonna have to mix in a little more. I'm just gonna actually have, this is left over from that other mix. So I'll just put this in here. So that already had sand, and this is from that other mix from last week we did. Well, we made some terrariums. Oh my goodness. All right, if your pot has too big of holes on it, it's gonna drive you crazy. Right. So last one, I've got this many left. And remember, let these callus over a little bit. So I just cut these. I'm not going to water them. The mix is super dry. So the plant will be able to get a dry out here at the tip, callus over before I water it. Let's just place this in here like that. Oh, I do have a big one. All right, nice. Shoving it in, kind of filling the bottom. All right, so I'm gonna finish this one up, and then I'll go grab the other ones. So I think the timeline would have been maybe, I think we're at like 2 months or so with these string of, it's been a good long day of work, and now I can't remember what the dang plant was. String of bananas. That's actually what they are. If I said anything else, I was not telling you the right thing. The ones that we have that are ready that we had previously chopped up because it came from a different grower, and they used peat moss, and the soil mix became hydrophobic. So I switched it all up. So I'll grab that, show you that, and then if we have time, we'll do a couple other plants. Let's see. I did have a chance to go. I went to this weekend. Went to a place called Lyons Arboretum, and they had like their Christmas plant sale. So I picked up a few things that I don't personally have for the personal. Sorry guys, my personal plant collection. That's what I'm trying to say. Put a little bit on top, and then let that in, and then I'm gonna let these sit for 1 day, maybe 2. It's pretty dry here. It hasn't been raining or anything, and then I'll water them in, and then we'll be able to check back in on them in a couple months, and we'll see what we got. But generally, doing it this way, you're going to get nice full plants, and these will fill in and flower and be real nice. All right, let me clean this up, and I'll go grab those other plants. Maybe you guys can still hear me. I'll come over here and I'll grab these guys. So this was done the same way. We filled, so you're going to come from this to this, and this is obviously a different plant, but this string of bananas, and then it only took a couple months. You can see this one here. What I ended up doing was I had this one, and I should have filmed cutting it, but this one was not looking great, scraggly looking. We had it in our store, and it was just way not enough light, and it was in there way too long. So I pulled it back out, brought it back. I ended up putting another pot below it. So I had this plant trailing into this plant, wound it all up, let it trail down, and then wound it up into this soil. And then once it rooted into here, right, and I added extra soil on top. You can kind of see same look. Allows this thing to grow real nice and thick. Once it rooted into here, I made a cut, and then now we've got this guy doing good, and this one's just about ready. If you're selling, this one's, I mean, it would be ready. I prefer it. I would want to get another strand down to about here before I put it back in the store. But it could be ready for sale here, and that's 2 months. So it's like this, and then bright indirect light, and good watering schedule in a couple months of watering, and good to go. Okay, so let's see here. How much time do I got? My watch died, so I don't have my watch. Using the phone to film. Trying to see what I've got time for. Looks like I'm going to end with one last thing, and it's going to be, we're going to talk about bugs. So let me grab this. See if we can see this. Try to pull there, if you can see that. So this is a variegated alocasia, and these things are super notorious for spider mites, and that's what we got here. You can see the webbing all over it. So neem oil is good with spider mites. Holy smokes! So neem oil will work. Just got to make sure follow directions and not place it. Don't do it direct sunlight. You can also use soapy water. You can spray it off. We also have our leaf and tonic, which is a neem oil derivative with some other products that will definitely take care of this. So generally, once you get spider mites this bad, it's going to be take a couple weeks, maybe a month before you can get rid of them. So you want to isolate the plant, get it away from the other guys, and then start treating it. If you've got several leaves available, you can cut off a couple, so I could get away with removing maybe 2 of these, because these things are going to bounce back real quick. We got a new one growing here. I generally like, if I can get away with it, I like to leave them hanging on for as much as possible, because otherwise it doesn't look so hot. So what I'd recommend doing is, let me try to tilt this camera up, and I will clean this guy up. So I'll usually spray it. I'm going to spray this one with our leaf and tonic. Let me go grab one, and then I'm going to wipe it off with spray it till it drips off, and then I'm going to wipe it off with a microfiber, and then clean it all up. So let me lift this camera up. 1 second here. Let's see if I can't get this in the shot. Yeah, there we go. All right, let me move these plants out of the way. We're going to clean this guy up, give this plant a glow up. And spider mites can be a real pain, especially with alocasias. Such a pain. But that's what we got here. All right, let me try to find some leaf and tonic. Okay, and microfiber. All right, we'll finish up with this guy. So it's super ton of spider mites, man. This booger is just not happy. You can see all the yellowing, right? So if you have a plant and you start seeing, especially if it's an alocasia, you have an alocasia and the top, you get these green ridges like this, more than likely spider mites. If the top is bumpy, like it's crinkly, turn the plant over to the other side, and more than likely you probably have mealybugs underneath it. Both of these can be treated with neem oil or our leaf and tonic. So what I do is I'm going to spray this guy, and you can watch this in action here. Just going to spray it, and then you can see the web, all the bugs in there. Spray it till it drips off, and then get the underside. Okay, it's dripping off, and then from there, wipe this ridge part here. This is where they usually start, right here in the V here. And then I'm just gonna take this. It's not as easy to do if you have like cleaning mitts, microfiber mitts, be easier. Not as easy to do backwards. Sorry, doing my best here. I'm gonna clean this off, and you can see all the spider mites. They all turned brown. That's from the leaf and tonic attacking them. Turn it over and show you once I rub this. Once the insects are brown, that means they're dead. Got them. This leaf's going to be toast though, so we're going to make sure that if you have an alocasia, they like fertilizer, especially if it's variegated, heavy fert. So an Osmocote or some sort of balanced fertilizer that's extended release is best. So I want to make sure you're fertilizing these guys to make them happy and grow, and then obviously giving them the right amount of light. So I do that, clean off this leaf. You don't have to clean them off, but I like to do it with the spider mites because all those webs and everything are there, and this kind of fully gets rid of most of them. And then in another week, I'll come back and retreat, and more than likely after that second week with the leaf and tonic, that's it. No more spider mites. So there's one leaf, and here's another one. So same thing. I'm just going to go around and spray the top, spray the bottom, let it drip off for a couple seconds, and then wipe it down. And let's see what time we got. All right, I'll finish up this plant while we're talking here. A lot of times with the alocasias, number one problem is generally the watering. Secondly is going to be the lighting. If you don't give them enough bright light, they get stressed out, and they attract the insects by being stressed. So we want to try to make sure we get the lighting and the watering right first. This plant came from a house, and it's a staged house, and the lighting is not correct where it is. So we usually switch them out, but this one got left there a little too long. The good news with the alocasias is if you screw it up, you can always just make sure you get it to the right conditions, pull it out, put it where it needs to go, and trim off the old leaves and get it back, and you'll have a new plant again because they continue to grow and grow and grow. So I'm going to do this with this leaf here. As far as watering, alocasias they don't like to be like overly moist, get a lot of root rot going on, super not happy getting water all the time, especially inside. So the routine needs to be, depending on where the plant is, to allow it to the top 2 inches of the plant to dry out, and anything more or less than that is not correct. So you can use your finger, you can use a moisture meter. I thought I had brought a moisture meter out here. Yeah, I did. It's going to check this one, see where we're at. So if you don't have a moisture meter, recommend it. That way you don't have to guess. I don't need to guess. I'm going to stick this in there, and I said, okay, top 2 inches. So I'm going to do the top 2 inches and check it. And I don't know if you can see, maybe you can't. So that's the top 2 inches, and it's still registering moist. So it does not need water. And as I put this down further, generally it gets wetter. Yeah, now it's super wet over here. So doesn't need to be watered right now. The other thing, when you're using neem oil, never spray the new emerging leaves. It'll mess them up. All right, so we got 1, 2. There's a third one, but it's like up here a little higher. But you can also see the webbing. I can see it in the light. All these little spider mites, and they're just sucking this thing dry. So we had 2 of these in a home in the same area, and both of them kind of got hit. The other one, last week I pulled it apart, and we took all the babies. It didn't have spider mites, but it didn't have enough light. This is a Alocasia macrorhizae, and they need a lot of light. This is a full sun sort of plant. So bright light in your house. They get nice and big. It could be right next to a window, be okay. And the less light it gets, the more stressed out it gets. So I'm going to clean the rest of this. Light and water makes these guys happy. If you have bugs, spider bites, you're going to see some webbing, and then the vein, the stem will be green, dark green in the middle where the veins are, and then it'll be a lighter color all around it. If it's like mealybugs, scale, it'll be on the underneath side. Usually the top will be kind of like bumpy, or like looks like it's like scrunched up. Not all the way scrunched up. I don't know how to explain it, and I don't have one here right now. But you want to check and inspect, and then treat it. And then, like I said, with this, I could essentially cut 1, 2 of the leaves off. We got 1, and then this one would still stay on for a little while, and then eventually they'll all grow up. But I'm not going to do that for now. And lastly, we have all these other guys. So with the neem oil, I got to be real careful, because all of this is all emerging. And my neem that I have mixed right now, it's a stronger mix. So what I would prefer to do with the rest of these is I'm just going to have a little bit here. Is usually I just spray them off, or use like a soap, but I'm just going to kind of clean them off a little bit for now. And then later I'll go treat them with some horticultural soap. The neem on the newly, Leaf and Tonic has a lot of neem in it. So on new emerged stuff, it's not recommended to use. It kind of dries it out pretty quick, because these are really tender. And so that's any oil that you're trying to use. All right, so I'm just going to go around, clean these guys up, and I will another day be pulling these apart. I'm going to take all these babies out and plant them and get a whole bunch more. So these the bigger plants go for anywhere from, depending on the store, $80 to $120, and the babies you can get anywhere from I don't know, $12 to $20 for like a little 4-inch that's rooted and growing, and then upwards from there. So we got a whole bunch of babies, as long as they are variegated. Some of these will not have the same variegation as the mom, but the reverts, you can always, they're still nice, and they just be a regular plant. So I did do that on another live, and so not going to do that just yet, but I'm going to do this off camera. Just know, ideally you just have one. So we'll check back in on this one. I'm going to put it in some decent light starting in a couple days, and then try to get the spider mites under control. Before I separate this, I want to have everything to be happy and no bugs, so that I can then separate all these out. So I'll move this out of the way. And that's going to do it for time. Appreciate you guys watching. I'm David with the Plant Bar, and if you hadn't already, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, The Plant Bar, and feel free to look through all of our old lives and old videos. We got all kinds of content on all kinds of different ways to grow plants, care for plants, and grow new ones, propagating, and then also making neat arrangements and different things like that for events or for gifts or just for yourself. So thank you for watching. I'm David with the Plant Bar. Bye-bye. All right, I got to turn this off. Sorry, I got to come around and turn it off. Solo today. See you guys later.